February is around the corner, and with each new month comes a whole new host of content on Netflix. Our titles to keep an eye out for this month include Get Out, Liar Liar, and Apollo 13. But Netflix isn't just about streaming existing content anymore, with the site offering original content, like Velvet Buzzsaw, next month too. Here's everything coming to Netflix in February 2019. February 1, 2019. Sherlock Holmes. A Game of Shadows. When Austria's crown prince is found dead, the evidence seems to point to suicide. However, Detective Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr., deduces that the prince was murdered and that the crime is but a piece of a puzzle designed by an evil genius named Moriarty, Jared Harris. Holmes and his friend Dr. Watson, Jude Law, who are accompanied by a gypsy, Numeripis, whose life Holmes saved, chase Moriarty across Europe in the hope that they can thwart his plot before it can come to fruition. Dear X, actors' names needed in this one. When Sanlian's ex-husband passes away, she discovers he has altered his insurance policy, cutting out their son in favor of a stranger named Jay. Outraged, Sanlian decides that she and her son will confront Jay, but Jay proves equal to her scheme. However, when her son unexpectedly moves in with Jay, she is forced to reassess her relationship with them both. Dear X is a 2018 Taiwanese film directed by renowned director Mag Su together with new director Su Chi-hien, starring Roy Chiu, Jia Ying-xuan and Chen Ru-shan. Velvet Buzzsaw. Velvet Buzzsaw is a satirical thriller set in the contemporary art world scene of Los Angeles, where big money artists and mega collectors pay a high price when art collides with commerce, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Toni Collette, and many more. Bird Box cast. WHO stars in Netflix's Bird Box with Sandra Bullock. Have you seen The Listers? An intimate look into the career of world-renowned street artist Anthony Lister. His work aims to challenge conservative Australia, after her controlling husband Des, an elderly woman, embarks on a trip to fulfill her long-time dream of climbing a mountain in the Scottish Highlands. Madsos War. A small-time Boston crook, Matthew Marsden, and his crew are caught in the middle of a violent war between rival gangs and corrupt cops for control of an Irish mobster's hidden fortune. Step up, all in after struggling for a year to make it big in Hollywood. Shawn's Ryan Guzman dance crew gives up and moves back to Miami. Not ready to relinquish his own dream quite yet, Shawn remains in Los Angeles. When he hears about an upcoming dance competition in Las Vegas, Shawn teams with talented dancers in Brianna Evigan and Moose Adam Shavani to put together a new crew. Now with some old friends and some new faces, Shawn and his crew intend to win the bucket list billionaire Edward Cole, Jack Nicholson, and car mechanic Carter Chambers. Morgan Freeman are complete strangers until fate lands them in the same hospital room. The men find they have two things in common: a need to come to terms with who they are and what they have done with their lives, and a desire to complete a list of things they want to see and do before they, against their doctor's advice, the men leave the hospital and set out on the adventure of a lifetime. Heal scientists and spiritual teachers discuss how thoughts, beliefs and emotions impact human health and the ability to heal. Bird Box on Netflix. Netflix horror film breaks this incredible record. February 5, 201,947 meters down. Young sisters Kate and Lisa, Claire Holt and Mandy Moore respectively, traveled to Mexico for a vacation filled with sun, fun and adventure. Lisa needs some extra persuasion when Kate suggests that they go diving in shark-infested waters. Safe in their protective cage, the thrill-seeking siblings come face to face with a group of majestic great whites. Their worst fears soon become a reality when the cage breaks away from their boat, sending them plummeting to the ocean floor with a dwindling supply of oxygen. The shack. After suffering a family tragedy, Mac Phillips, Sam Worthington, spirals into a deep depression that causes him to question his innermost beliefs. Facing a crisis of faith, he receives a mysterious letter urging him to an abandoned shack in the Oregon wilderness. Despite his doubts, Mac journeys to the shack and encounters an enigmatic trio of strangers led by a woman named Papa. Through this meeting, Mac finds important truths that will transform his understanding of his tragedy and change his life forever. The monster, a divorced mother and her headstrong daughter, Zoe Kazan and Ella Ballantyne, must make an emergency late-night road trip to see the girl's father. As they drive through deserted country roads on a stormy night, they suddenly have a startling collision that leaves them shaken but not seriously hurt. Their car, however, is dead, and as they try in vain to get help, they come to realize they are not alone. A terrifying evil is lurking in the woods, intent on never letting them leave. Bird Box on Netflix. A laborious horror that doesn't quite frighten. February 7, 2019. Behind the curve, the internet has revived the conspiracy theory that the Earth is flat, and America's flat Earth movement appears to be growing, despite its detractors in the scientific community. February 8, 2019. The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Bilbo Baggins, Martin Freeman, lives a simple life with his fellow hobbits in the Shire until the wizard Gandalf, Ian McKellen, arrives and convinces him to join a group of dwarves on a quest to reclaim the Kingdom of Erebor. The journey takes Bilbo on a path through treacherous lands swarming with orcs, goblins and other dangers, not the least of which is an encounter with Golem, Andy Serkis, and a simple gold ring that is tied to the fate of Middle-earth in ways Bilbo cannot even fathom. Remastered. The Two Killings of Sam Cooke Remastered, a long-form documentary series of high-profile, in-depth stories about music's impact on society, as told by critically acclaimed directors, with each episode revealing surprising insight beyond the expected or commonly known. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was the most influential black musician of the civil rights movement and advocated for the rights of black musicians, frustrating the white establishment. An investigation into the circumstances and controversy surrounding his shooting death include theories that he had been robbed and trick-rolled by a woman, later revealed to be a prostitute. But many believe in a larger societal setup, namely that he was targeted by music industry moguls with links to the mob who all wanted him dead for emerging as a totem for black musicians' rights. El Árbol de la Sangre. Mark, Alvaro Cervantes, and Rebecca, Ursula Corbero, are a young couple who goes to an old farmhouse belonging to Mark's family. There, they write the shared story of their roots, creating a large family tree that harbors 25 years of love, heartbreak, madness, jealousy and infidelity, and under which lies a deep mystery that marked their lives. Over their days at the farmhouse, each one will reveal secrets from their past to the other, putting their own love story in danger. High-flying bird. In the midst of a pro basketball lockout, sports agent Trey Burke, Andre Holland, finds himself caught in the face-off between the league and the players. His career is on the line, but Ray is playing for higher stakes. With only 72 hours to pull off a daring plan, he outmaneuvers all the power players as he uncovers a loophole that could change the game forever. The outcome raises questions of who owns the game, and who ought to. Directed by Academy Award winner Steven Soderbergh. Graphic, From a script by Academy Award winner Terrell Alvin McGrani, Moonlight, High-Flying Bird features an acclaimed ensemble cast that includes Zazie Beetz, Melvin Gregg, Sonia Son, Zachary Quinto, Kyle MacLachlan and Bill Duke, plus appearances from NBA athletes Reggie Jackson, Karl Anthony Towns and Donovan Mitchell. February 10, 2019 Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. 10 years after simian flu wiped out much of the world's Homo sapiens, genetically enhanced chimpanzee Caesar, Andy Serkis, and his ever-growing band of followers have established a thriving colony just outside San Francisco in Muir Woods. Meanwhile, a small band of human survivors emerges, which forces Caesar, as the leader, to grapple with the dual challenge of protecting his people and re-establishing a relationship with the remaining human population, the latter being Caesar's secret wish. The space between Gardner Elliott, Asa Butterfield, the first human born on Mars, begins an online friendship with Tulsa, a teen in Colorado. On his maiden voyage to Earth, the 16-year-old finally gets to experience all the joys and wonders of the world he could only read about. Problems arise when scientists discover that Gardner's organs can't withstand the atmosphere. United with Tulsa and on the run, the interplanetary visitor races against time to unravel the mysteries of how he came to be, and where he belongs in the universe. February 12, 2019 I think we're alone now. Dell. Peter Dinklage is alone in the world. After the human race is wiped out, he lives in his small, empty town, content in his solitude and the utopia he's methodically created for himself, until he is discovered by Grace L. Fanning, an interloper whose history and motives are obscure, and to make matters worse, she wants to stay. Welcome Home. A couple's attempt at reconciling their relationship at a rental house in Italy is interrupted by the owner's evil plans. February 15, 2019 The 5-year engagement on their 1-year anniversary. Sous chef Tom Solomon, Jason Segel, plans to surprise his girlfriend, Violet Barnes, Emily Blunt, with an engagement ring. The lovers do end up engaged, but the fact that the proposal does not go exactly as planned proves to be a harbinger of things to come. Each time they try to set a date, various obstacles stand in their way. As more and more time passes, Tom and Violet begin to wonder if perhaps their marriage is not meant to be. Hellboy 2, the Golden Army Hellboy, Ron Perlman, his pyrokinetic girlfriend, Liz, Selma Blair, and aquatic empath, Abe Sapien, Doug Jones, face their biggest battle when an underworld prince, Luke Goss, plans to reclaim Earth for his magical kindred. Tired of living in the shadow of humans, Prince Nuada tries to awaken an ancient army of ing machines to clear the way for fantasy creatures to roam free. Only Hellboy can stop the Dark Prince and prevent humanity's annihilation. Safe house. For the past year, rookie CIA agent Matt Weston, Ryan Reynolds, has been eager to prove himself while cooling his heels at an inactive South African post. He gets the chance when Tobin Frost, Denzel Washington, a turncoat operative, is brought to Weston's safe house for debriefing. But soon after Frost's arrival, mercenaries attack, and Weston and Frost barely escape with their lives. The two men must join forces and try to stay alive long enough to figure out who wants them dead. Blow. In the turbulence of the 1970s, the international drug trade underwent a fast, violent and lucrative revolution, and one ordinary American was at its center. But in just a few short years, George Young, Johnny Depp, a high school football star, single-handedly became the world's premier importer of cocaine from Colombia's Medellin cartel, changing the course of an entire generation. Below is a high-velocity look at George Young's spectacular rise and fall. The breaker-upper as two women run a business breaking up couples for cash, but when one develops a conscience their friendship unravels. Yokodan competing con artists attempt to creatively and ruthlessly swindle a fatherly lottery winner while on a lively cruise from Spain to Mexico. February 17, 2019. The legend of Tarzan. It's been nearly a decade since Tarzan, Alexander Skarsgård, also known as John Clayton III, left Africa to live in Victorian England with his wife Jane. Danger lurks on the horizon as Leon Rom, Christoph Waltz, a treacherous envoy for King Leopold, devises a scheme that lures the couple to the Congo. Rom plans to capture Tarzan and deliver him to an old enemy in exchange for diamonds. When Jane becomes a pawn in his devious plot, Tarzan must return to the jungle to save the woman he loves. Life astronauts, Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, Ryan Reynolds, aboard the International Space Station are on the cutting edge of one of the most important discoveries in human history. The first evidence of extraterrestrial life on Mars. As members of the crew conduct their research, the rapidly evolving life form proves far more intelligent and terrifying than anyone could have imagined. February 19, 2019. Sherlock Gnomes. After a string of garden gnome disappearances in London, Romeo and Juliet look to legendary detective Sherlock Gnomes to solve the case of their missing friends and family. Twilight in Forks. This supplement to the world of Twilight offers a behind-the-scenes look at the real-life town of Forks, Washington, where beautiful sights, scenery, and a pervading sense of mystery became an instrumental part of the fictional story of vampires, werewolves, and the girl who won their hearts. February 22, 2019. Paddleton. An unlikely bromance between two misfit neighbors becomes an unexpectedly emotional journey when the younger man is diagnosed with terminal cancer. The photographer of Mauthausen, imprisoned at the concentration camp of Mauthausen during World War II, Catalan photographer Francesc Boix struggles to survive while saving other people and hiding film negatives that will later help incriminate Nazis. Firebrand. A contemporary story about relationships and the highs and lows people deal with in their lives. Paris is Us. Paris is Stanu. Dreams and reality collide as a young woman navigates a tumultuous relationship amid rising social tensions, protests and tragedies in Paris. February 24, 2019. Get Out. Now that Chris, Daniel Kaluuya, and his girlfriend, Rose, Alison Williams, have reached the meet the parents milestone of dating, she invites him for a weekend getaway upstate with Messi and Dean. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship. But as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he never could have imagined. February 26, 2019. Mamma Mia. Donna, Meryl Streep, an independent hotelier in the Greek islands, is preparing for her daughter's wedding with the help of two old friends. Meanwhile, Sophie, the spirited bride, has a plan. She secretly invites three men from her mother's past in hope of meeting her real father and having him escort her down the aisle on her big day. As above, so below. Archaeologist Scarlett Marlowe, Perdita Weeks, has devoted her whole life to finding one of history's greatest treasures, Flamel's Philosopher's Stone. According to legend, the artifact can grant eternal life and turn any metal into gold. When she learns that the stone is hidden underground in the catacombs of Paris, she assembles a crew to guide and document her historic mission. As they begin their descent, the team members have no way of knowing that they are entering their own personal hell. Keanu, recently dumped by his girlfriend, slacker Jordan Peele, finds some happiness when a cute kitten winds up on his doorstep. After a heartless thief steals the cat, Rill recruits his cousin Clarence, Keegan-Michael Key, to help him retrieve it. They soon learn that a thug named Cheddar, Method Man, has the animal, and he'll only give it back if the two men agree to work for him. Armed with guns and a gangster attitude, it doesn't take long for the hapless duo to land in big trouble. February 28, 2019. Apollo 13. This Hollywood drama is based on the events of the Apollo 13 lunar mission. Astronauts Jim Lovell, Tom Hanks, Fred Hayes, Bill Paxton, and Jack Swigert, Kevin Bacon, find everything going according to plan after leaving Earth's orbit. However, when an oxygen tank explodes, the scheduled moon landing is called off. Subsequent tensions within the crew and numerous technical problems threaten both the astronauts' survival and their safe return to Earth. The other bowling girl, King Henry VIII, Eric Barner, lacks an heir. Seeing this as an opportunity for personal gain, the Duke of Norfolk, David Morrissey, and Sir Thomas Spolane, Mark Rylance, persuade Thomas' daughter Anne, Natalie Portman, to seduce the king, but Henry falls in love with Anne's sister, Mary, Scarlett Johansson, instead. When Mary becomes pregnant, she's confined to bed, charged with and keeping the king from straying, but the plan backfires when Anne seeks the king's affections for herself. Smurfs, the Lost Village best friends Smurfette, Demi Lovato, Brainy, Danny Pudi, Clumsy, Jack McBrayer, and Hefty, Joe Manganiello, use a special map that guides them through the Forbidden Forest, an enchanted wonderland that's filled with magical creatures. Their adventure leads them on a course to discover the biggest secret in Smurf history as they race against time and the evil wizard Gargamel, Rainn Wilson, to find a mysterious village. Isn't it romantic? A cynical young woman, Rebel Wilson, that doesn't believe in love, and hates romantic wakes up one day to discover that her life has completely changed and she is now somehow trapped inside a romantic comedy.